Hi friends, welcome to another reading vlog. Pardon myself today. Actually, no, you guys are used to this by now because this is, the happy persona that I present to the world. No makeup. It's my best self, really, without all the paint on my face. And also this winter, man, already like the dry skin, my face needs to breathe sometimes. So, hashtag real world. Here we go. So, hold on, I'll be right back. What are my reading goals for this week? Well, let's see. I'm about 80 pages into this romance that I was reading. It's okay. I love Eloisa. Sometimes she takes me a little bit to get into hers, so I want to finish this one. Also, I am 62% of the way into Romanoff, which is the Anastasia historical fiction fantasy that I'm listening to or reading. It's an arc by Nadine Brandeis. Sorry if I said that wrong. I probably totally did. It's good. It's a little too realistic for me. Like, it's literally going through what happened in their last few months of life, and I don't know, it's not as fantasy as I was hoping. Like, I didn't want a straight up retelling of the horrible thing that happened to the Romanovs because of the Bolsheviks. So it's kind of hurting me right now. But it just got to a really interesting turn, and I was determined to finish this. Like, I almost DNF'd it a couple times because it was real slow in the beginning. Like, real slow. But they were building up kind of the family dynamics, and that was okay. Also, as usual, working on Strange the Dreamer. I'm about 50% of the way through this. Still have 2 weeks left to read that, but I want to kind of finish it this week because starting on Friday at midnight, so Saturday morning, is the Tome Topple Readathon that I'm doing, which I have 3 books over 500 pages that I have to read over the holidays. So, over the Thanksgiving holiday. So, yeah, so I'm trying to get these finished up before then. Also, I'm almost done listening to Ross Poldark, the first Poldark novel. Yeah, super cool. Anyway, so that's kind of my reading goals this week. Got another busy week coming. So make sure you keep watching to see if I did a good job. I don't even know what to say in these clips anymore. Y'all, I'll see you in the next one. Hello, friends. I just had to do a quick little update midweek here because I finally finished Strange the Dreamer, which, yes, it was a month-long buddy read, but I never meant for it to take the whole month. And so I don't know what my feelings are about it completely. I mean, it won me over in the end because the ramp up and the ending of it were so powerful. Like, I understand why this is a lot of people's favorite book and why Laszlo is some people's favorite character because he's awesome. I agree. I really did like Sarai as well. But my problem is that this story was like 200 pages too much for me. And for some people, that won't be the case. Like, they love how in-depth it is and how sweeping the prose is and that it's just the most beautiful and, slow thing ever. But for all the time it takes, it was then an insta-love story because as soon as they meet, they're in love. And it just was nothing, a couple interesting things, nothing, and then everything all at once. And so I just think the pacing in it is just... Anyway, I'm sure I'll talk more about it in my monthly wrap-up, but I just have a lot of feelings right now. So what I'm taking on next is I just started The Black Witch. I started it 2 days early. Tome Topple doesn't start until Friday, but I have 3 pretty big books to read, and I don't know how much reading I'll get done over Thanksgiving. And I'm still reading Romanoff on my Kindle, which is going good. That as well has a severe pacing issue. So, but I mean, tonight with Strange, I skimmed a little, but I just had to push through because if I didn't finish that book, it was going to put me in a reading slump. Like, yeah. So that's kind of disappointing to me. But I just wanted to stop in. Sorry, this quality is probably like really crappy compared to the last one. But yeah, so that's what I'm feeling. So gonna start reading this. I also started the Walking Dead compendium, and then I'm still reading Romanoff, and I'm probably gonna start some other book in here as well, something kind of light and fluffy. Oh, I'm almost done listening to the first Poldark novel, Ross Poldark, because y'all know I started that over again because I can't help myself. So anyway, there's my little reading update, and I'll see you in the next clip. Bye. All right, so it's Saturday now, so I'll go ahead and wrap up for you what I read this week. I'll diva it out because I need to film some videos for upcoming videos for the holidays and just some things that I'll be busy with. But of course, I gotta stop in and check in with what I read this week. So I did finish reading. I read Born to Be Wild this week. This was super fun. I just needed a break from all the fantasy I've been reading because I've been reading some really heavy fantasy books, which I love, absolutely. But, like I've said in my How I Read So Much, one of the ways I do that is I try not to get too stuck in my ways. I try to switch up what I'm reading, give myself a chance to like other things. And so for me, Eloisa James is one of my favorite romance novels. This was not my favorite one she wrote. I gave this a 3.5 because it was fun. It was quick to get through, but the main characters, they weren't my favorite. I mostly liked this because it heavily had one of the other main heroines in it that I liked from the other series. So definitely love that. I also finally finished Strange the Dreamer. I was really close to DNFing this. I ended up giving it a 3.5 stars. Rounded down to a 3 on Goodreads because I just couldn't give it a 4, so I had to round it to that. This book just took way too long to do what it did. So even though I loved what it did, it took too long. And so this book that everyone loves so much, I almost DNF'd it. And I'm sorry, but I almost DNF'd. So, yeah, I'll say more about it in my wrap-up. But this was a buddy read, and I know, Murphy almost DNF'd it too, who I was reading it with. And if she wouldn't have been buddy reading this for her Patreon, she probably would have stopped as well, because it's so beautifully written. But to me, if your story isn't worth it, it doesn't matter to me how beautiful it is. I need to be more invested than it just being beautiful. So that hurts, I know, but that's where we're at. So then I started Tome Topple yesterday, and one of those books I'm reading for that is The Black Witch. The cover's in my room right now. But this was first suggested to me by one of my favorite booksellers at Barnes & Noble. So I decided to do it for Tome Topple because you need to read books over 500 pages. And this book sucked me in really quick. It was pretty frustrating in some parts. So I'll tell you what the setup for this is. It's kind of confusing, but it's really interesting. So this girl named Ellerin, she is the granddaughter of the last Black Witch, who was the most powerful, witch that there is. And so everyone assumes she's going to be the next Black Witch, but she doesn't appear to have any powers. So the way her family, and by family I mean her aunt, she has an aunt and an uncle who are taking care of her. They're not married, they're brother and sister. And the aunt thinks the best way she can be useful is to get her married off to a powerful sorcerer who will then, take care of her and make a good connection for the family. And her uncle doesn't want her to get married, and he's like, I want her to go to school before she chooses who she gets married to. And her aunt is like, no, I don't want that, blah, blah. And so they kind of fight over her. But she ends up at the school, going to school. She has to do kind of like a work program because her uncle is like, if your aunt pays for it, then your aunt gets to tell you what to do. So you're going to earn your way through school, and when you're done with school, you can decide if you want to get married or not. So it's actually kind of funny because her uncle is pressuring her to do it. And she meets the guy who her aunt really wants her to get married to, and her aunt just keeps like pushing them together and telling her things will be easier if she gets married to her. And in the midst of this, there is a bunch of different kinds of magical people here, from like lupines, which are like werewolf people, to elves, to these Icarus. Sorry, I probably totally killed that. There's Urisks, and like there's just all these different types of breeds of people. There's half-breeds, mixed breeds, and the humans just feel like they're above all those other people. And so there's some very interesting forms of prejudice in this story. So that's kind of the setup right now. Ellerin has been raised pretty secluded, so she is trying to find her way, as well as being pulled in all these different directions, as well as people are sure that she has power, but she doesn't. I have some thoughts on that I'll keep to myself for now. But it's really frustrating, but it's also good kind of frustrating. Like, it makes me want to know what's going on. So I'm definitely going to put away quite a few pages of this later today. So that is what I'm doing. I also started the Poppy War for Tome Topple and the Walking Dead Compendium, which I put in the video about Tome Topple, which I'll link it up there. I'm never sure which side to point. I think it's up here. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It's up there. So yeah, so the rest of my day looks like I will be filming a couple videos and then reading and maybe doing some starting of Christmas shopping. Like, I really wanted to film today because it was finally nice out, because I use my ring light, but I feel like it just washes out my background because my lighting's a hot mess. But when you do this for free, you use what you have and you don't complain about it. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I put up new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I'll see you next time. Bye!